Hello, my dear friends. Now we are going to see about lung volumes and capacities. Lung volume and lung capacities refer to the volume of air associated with different phases of respiratory cycle. Means, for example, for a normal inspiration, how much amount of the air we will take. For normal expiration, or with forced inspiration, how much amount of air. With forced expiration, how much amount of the air we will expel. This will be studied in lung volumes and lung capacities. Lung volumes are directly measured. Lung capacities are inferred from lung volumes. Instrument is spirometry. There are four types of lung volumes. We have the tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume, residual volume. These are the four lung volumes we have. First, tidal volume. What is tidal volume? Tidal volume means it's like a tide. It's coming and going, like up and down. So normal volume of air inspired or expired during a quiet and a normal breathing, which we call it as tidal volume. How much will be the tidal volume means 500 ml. Means 500 ml of air we will inspire and 500 ml of air we will expire during a normal quiet breathing. So this is the tidal volume, the center. So this will represent the tidal volume. So this whole chart, which we call it as spirogram. So this is the record from spirometer, and the study which we call it as spirometry, and the process of taking through spirometer we call it as spirometry, and this is the spirogram. This is the record, and this is the tidal volume. This is 500 ml. And next, inspiratory reserve volume. Extra volume of air inspired after tidal volume by maximum inspiration effort. We are taking like more amount of air inspired. So the capacity of beyond the tidal volume we call it as inspiratory reserve volume. It is 3000 ml in adult male or 3300 to 1900 in male or female. Expiratory reserve volume. Extra volume of air that can be exhaled after the tidal volume by maximum expiratory efforts. This we call it as expiratory reserve volume, that is 1100 in a normal adult male or 1200 to 700 in both males or females. Residual volume. The volume of air left out in the lungs after a forceful expiration or a complete expiration, we call it as residual volume. This is 1200 to 1100 both in males or females. So in this picture it is clear that the center, the smaller graph will represent the tidal volume, which is of 500 ml. So this is the tidal volume. Above this, maximum amount of the air inspired, and this will tell us about inspiratory reserve volume. This is around 3 liters or 3000 ml. And the maximum amount of air expelled after the tidal volume, which we call it as expiratory reserve volume, this is around 1200 ml. And residual volume, after forceful expiration also, some amount of air will remain inside the lungs, that we call it as residual volume. This is between 1200 ml. So this is 1200 ml around. So the tidal volume, above this is inspiratory reserve volume, below that is expiratory reserve volume. Even though after expiratory reserve volume, if some amount of air remains in the lungs, which we call it as residual volume. And next, lung capacity. They are the combination of two or more lung volumes, we call it as lung capacities. Inspiratory capacity, expiratory capacity, functional residual capacity, vital capacity, and total lung capacity. This is also very easy. Let's see. Inspiratory capacity. Maximum volume of air that can be inspired after normal tidal expiration, we call it as inspiratory capacity. That is, inspiratory capacity is equal to tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume. 500 plus 3000 gives rise to 3500 ml is the inspiratory capacity. Expiratory capacity. Maximum amount of air that can be expired after normal tidal inspiration, which we call it as expiratory capacity. It is expiratory capacity is equal to tidal volume plus expiratory reserve volume, means 500 plus 1100, that gives us 1600 ml. Functional residual capacity. Volume of air remaining in the lungs after normal tidal expiration, which we call it as functional residual capacity. Functional residual capacity is equal to expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume. So this two together we call it as functional residual capacity. That is 1100 plus 1200, that is 2300 ml. Significance of functional residual capacity: continuous the exchange of gases so that concentration of O2 and CO2 is maintained. Breath holding is made possible with this functional residual capacity. Dilution of toxic inhaled gases prevent the collapse of the lung, reduces the workload of respiratory muscles and right ventricle. Factors affecting the functional residual capacity is old age, obstructive and restrictive lung diseases. Coming to the next, like vital capacity, most amount of air expelled after the deepest possible inspiration. So vital capacity is equal to tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume plus expiratory reserve volume. This is the vital capacity. So that is 500, 3000 ml and 1100 ml. So totally it is 4600 ml is the vital capacity. Means this is the important capacity needed for tidal volume, inspiratory reserve and expiratory reserve volume. Significance: to assess the strength of respiratory muscles, factors affecting the vital capacity is age, sex, strength of respiratory muscles, gravity, pregnancy, ascites, and pulmonary diseases. Total lung capacity. So the volume of air present in the lungs after maximum inspiration, we call it as total lung capacity. So total lung capacity is equal to vital capacity plus residual volume. So that is 4600 plus 1200. That is 5800 ml is our total lung capacity. So this picture will tells us about the volumes and capacities. So this is the tidal volume. This is inspiratory reserve volume. This is expiratory reserve volume. And we have residual volume. Okay, remaining air in the lungs. And this, so vital capacity is inspiratory reserve volume, tidal volume plus expiratory reserve volume. This three together we call it as vital capacity. And we have one more thing called inspiratory capacity, that is tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume. And expiratory capacity is tidal volume plus expiratory reserve volume. And vital capacity is the three combination of this three. And we have one more thing, functional residual capacity, so which is expiratory reserve volume and residual volume together will form functional residual capacity. And coming to the next, total lung capacity, all together will comes under total lung capacity. So for the total lung capacity, we have vital capacity, so in the vital capacity plus residual volume, we can also tell like that also. Vital capacity plus residual volume will give us total lung capacity, or else inspiratory reserve volume, tidal volume, expiratory reserve volume, residual volume, all the four together also will give us total lung capacity. So this is all about the lung volumes and capacities. I hope you got a very easy understanding about this topic. Okay, thank you very much. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.